The boy looked at his father in confusion. But how is it possible? How can I become what I think? The old man smiled and said, "Well, that's what we're going to talk about today." The old man was the village elder. He had seen many seasons come and go, and he was respected by everyone in the village because of his wisdom. People from far and wide would come to him for advice because he knew the secrets of life. And today he was going to share one of those secrets with the boy. There are two forces in the world, he began. One is the power of your thoughts, and the other is the power of your habits. Your habits determine your character, and your thoughts determine your habits. So, if you want to change your life, you have to start by changing your thoughts. The boy pondered these words. It made sense to him. If his thoughts were the seeds from which his habits grew, then it only made sense to plant good seeds in his mind. But how could he do that? The old man continued, "Your thoughts are like seeds, my son. Just as a farmer plants seeds in the ground and tends to them until they grow into crops, so too do your thoughts take root and grow into habits. Whatever you think about most often will eventually become part of who you are. So, if you want to change your habits, you must first change your thoughts." He paused and looked out over the fields. "You can't force your habits to change," he said finally. "It doesn't work that way. Instead, you must change the way you think. Focus on the positive and not the negative. Believe in yourself and your abilities. Think of all the good things in your life and be grateful for them. When you focus on the positive, it will eventually become your habit. It'll start seeping into every aspect of your life, and before you know it, it will just be who you are." The boy thought about what his father had told him. It made perfect sense, but he still wasn't sure how to put it into practice. The old man continued, "You see, your mind is like a garden. It needs tending. If you let weeds grow, they'll choke out the flowers. But if you pull the weeds and plant flowers, they'll grow and bloom. It's the same with your thoughts. If you allow negative thoughts to take root, they will grow and become habits. But if you pull those thoughts out and replace them with positive ones, then positive habits will grow in their place." The boy looked at his father with a newfound determination. He was beginning to understand that he was the master of his own destiny. His thoughts were like seeds that could either grow into beautiful flowers or harmful weeds. It was up to him to decide what kind of garden he wanted to have. The old man saw the change in his son's eyes and smiled. "Remember, my son," he said, "you become what you think. So make sure you think positively. Make sure you believe in yourself and your abilities. And never, ever give up." With that, the old man got up and walked away. The boy sat there for a long time thinking about his father's words. He realized that he had been focusing on the wrong things. He had been thinking about all the bad things that had happened to him and all the things he couldn't control. But now he understood that he had the power to change his thoughts. And in doing so, he could change his habits and ultimately become a better version of himself. From that day on, the boy made a conscious effort to think positively. Whenever a negative thought crossed his mind, he tried to replace it with a positive one. He started focusing on his strengths and all the good things in his life. It wasn't easy at first, but with practice, it became easier and easier. One day, the boy was walking through the village when he heard some people talking about how dangerous the world was becoming. They were saying that there was so much violence and evil in the world that it was hard to believe in anything good. The boy felt a surge of anger. He wanted to argue with them and tell them that they were wrong. But then he stopped himself. He took a deep breath and reminded himself of his father's words. He knew that if he got angry, it would only make things worse. So instead, he stayed calm and polite and listened to what they had to say. Another time, the boy was walking home from school when a group of older kids approached him. They were known for being bullies, and they had a reputation for making other kids' lives miserable. The boy felt a surge of fear. He wanted to run away, but he knew that if he showed fear, it would only encourage the bullies. So he stood his ground and faced them. "What do you want?" he asked. The bullies were taken aback by his confidence. They had expected him to be afraid, but here he was standing up to them. They exchanged glances and then burst out laughing. "You're pretty brave, aren't you?" one of them said. "Yeah, maybe too brave for your own good." The boy didn't back down. He stared at the bully until he looked away. After a few seconds, the bullies started backing away. They mumbled something about having to get going and disappeared down the street. The boy stood there for a moment, feeling proud of himself. He had faced his fears and won. As the years went by, the boy grew into a strong young man. He never forgot the lessons his father had taught him. He knew that the world could be a dangerous place, but he also knew that he had the power to overcome any obstacle if he believed in himself. He carried these lessons with him throughout his life, and they helped him to become the best version of himself. One day, many years later, the man was sitting in his house when his son came to visit. As they talked, the man noticed that his son had become everything he had hoped he would be. He was confident, happy, and successful. The man couldn't help but smile. He knew that he had done a good job raising his son. He had taught him the most important lessons in life, and his son had used them to make something of himself. "Dad," his son said suddenly, "I wanted to thank you for teaching me the most important lessons in life. Because of what you taught me, I've become who I am today." The man smiled and nodded. "You become what you think," he said. "So always remember to think positively, my son. Always believe in yourself and your abilities. And never, ever give up." The son smiled and hugged his father. He knew that his father was right. He had become what he thought, and he wouldn't have been able to do it without his father's guidance. The two men sat in silence for a moment, each lost in thought. Finally, the man spoke. "You know, son," he said, "I'm glad I was able to teach you so much. But in the end, it was you who did the work. You are the one who decided to become what you thought." The son nodded. "That's right, Dad. You just gave me the tools I needed. It was up to me to use them." The man smiled. "That's the most important lesson of all, my son. You have the power to shape your own destiny. Don't ever forget that." As the sun began to set, the son got up to leave. "Thanks for everything, Dad," he said. "I love you." The man smiled and waved as his son walked away. He felt a sense of pride and satisfaction. He had done his job well. He had taught his son the most important lessons in life, and now it was up to his son to use them to make something of himself. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the man turned back to his chair and closed his eyes. He knew that his son would go on to do great things. He had seen it in his son's eyes all those years ago when he first learned the secret of life. The man had passed on the wisdom of the ages to his son, and now the world was a better place because of it. And so it is with us all. We have the power to shape our own destiny. All we need is a little guidance and a lot of belief in ourselves. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe so you never miss an upload. Until next time.